on the violent, sulfur-scented world of Apocalypse, where darkness and destruction thrive. The skies are constantly filled with parademons and human soldiers, born from the planet's sinister technologies. They form an unstoppable army, feared across the universe. Beneath the towering structures of the planet, countless enslaved beings labor in unceasing despair, stripped of their will, living only to serve Darkseid, the ruler of this grim world. At the heart of Apocalypse stands Darkseid, gazing over his dominion, relishing the chaos of his past victories. Three trembling figures kneel before him, showing deep reverence and fear, for he is the supreme new god, the embodiment of evil itself. His very presence demands total submission, his reign unchallenged, casting a shadow over the galaxy. On the violent, sulfur-scented world of Apocalypse, where darkness and destruction thrive, the skies are constantly filled with parademons and human soldiers, born from the planet's sinister technologies. They form an unstoppable army, feared across the universe. Beneath the towering structures of the planet, countless enslaved beings labor in unceasing despair, stripped of their will, living only to serve Darkseid, the ruler of this grim world. At the heart of Apocalypse stands Darkseid, gazing over his dominion, relishing the chaos of his past victories. Three trembling figures kneel before him, showing deep reverence and fear, for he is the supreme new god, the embodiment of evil itself. His very presence demands total submission, his reign unchallenged, casting a shadow over the galaxy. After what seemed like an eternity, Darkseid finally turned to his trusted generals, his gaze cold and commanding. Steppenwolf, armored and covered in spikes, Kalibak, the wild-haired son with the power to match Superman, and Mantis, the ultimate warrior who could nullify physical attacks, stood at attention. These three were unstoppable. Steppenwolf could crush the Justice League without Superman's help. Kalibak could fight toe-to-toe with Superman, but Mantis was the most formidable his powers made even Superman powerless against him. Darkseid's voice echoed through the void as he gave his orders. The Mother Boxes are together, on Earth. Find them and bring them back. The generals responded in unison, "Yes, Lord Darkseid," but Darkseid wasn't done yet. His tone grew darker as he added, "There's a being on Earth called Batman, claiming to be from another universe. He's stronger than Superman. Use the Omega Beam to hunt him down and eliminate him." The generals answered, "Yes, for Darkseid." And with that, they departed, unaware that the traveler Batman they were hunting was about to meet their overwhelming power with something even darker. After what felt like an eternity, Darkseid turned to face his three most trusted generals, his cold, commanding gaze locking onto each one. The first, Steppenwolf, was a towering figure clad in spiked armor, a loyal and relentless warrior. Next, Kalibak, his eldest son, possessed a wild, lion-like mane exuding brute strength. Lastly, Mantis, the most formidable of the trio, wore green battle armor, his presence a terrifying promise of power. These generals were a force to be reckoned. With Steppenwolf could crush the Justice League without breaking a sweat. Kalibak matched Superman's strength, and Mantis could render even the Man of Steel powerless with his ability to negate physical attacks. Darkseid's voice rumbled through the air as he spoke of the Mother Boxes gathered on Earth. He commanded them to find and retrieve them. As the generals responded with unwavering loyalty, Darkseid's tone darkened further, revealing a new mission. There is a being on Earth, a so-called Batman from a parallel universe. He is more powerful than Superman. Use the Omega Beam to eliminate him and claim the Mother Boxes. With their orders given, the generals departed, and Darkseid's sinister smile lingered. He knew the so-called Batman may be strong, but his Omega Beam could erase anything, even him. A single finger knocked Mantis away? Unbelievable. Even Darkseid himself couldn't do that. And just when things seemed impossible, a figure emerged through the portal 6 feet tall, clad in the same bat suit as the Dark Knight, but carrying an energy so potent that it sent waves of primal fear through Kalibak's spine. This wasn't just any Batman, it was Traveler Batman, and he radiated an intensity that even the mighty Darkseid couldn't match. Kalibak, already in disbelief, couldn't fathom how this version of Batman was stronger than the god of Apocalypse himself. Everyone stood frozen as Traveler Batman casually sent Mantis flying with a single flick. But there was more behind him. The iconic figures of Batman, Catwoman, Wonder Woman, and Mira followed, each now enhanced by Alex's gifts. Batman and Catwoman, their powers rivaling Superman, stormed forward with unstoppable force. Wonder Woman, fully awakened by Alex's research, was now even stronger than the average Superman, thanks to the gifts of the Olympian gods and Alex's symbiote. Mera, too, had been empowered, her new abilities adding a deadly edge to her combat prowess. They didn't hesitate. The Parademons, once a challenge even for Batman, were now torn apart effortlessly by these upgraded heroes. Batman, on his own, locked eyes with Steppenwolf, and with one punch sent him flying, mocking, weak. The battle for Apocalypse was changing, and it was clear that no one could stop this unstoppable force of heroes. With a single flick of his finger, Mantis was sent flying across the battlefield, an effortless move that left Kalibak in shock. No one, not even Darkseid himself, could pull off such a feat. And then, a figure emerged from the portal, a man clad in the same bat suit as Batman. But this wasn't just any Batman. The mere presence of Traveler Batman struck a primal, bone-chilling fear into Kalibak far stronger than anything he'd ever felt in the presence of Darkseid. Impossible! How could this Batman be stronger than the god himself? As the dust settled, it became clear. Traveler Batman was a force unlike anything they'd ever faced. No one could deny it, as Mantis, who had been dominating Superman moments ago, was effortlessly knocked aside. One by one, more heroes emerged from the portal: Batman, Catwoman, Wonder Woman, and Mera. With Alex's enhancements, they were no longer the heroes they once were. Batman and Catwoman now held power equal to Superman's, while Wonder Woman's divine powers had fully awakened, enhanced further by Alex's symbiote and research. Mera, too, was no longer the same, wielding newfound strength. Together, they charged toward the Parademon army, tearing through them with ease. It was a slaughter. Even Batman on his own went after Steppenwolf, knocking him out with a single punch and taunting him weak. Kalibak's broken body hurtled through the air, crashing into Mantis, who had once relished his strength but now found himself defeated. Mantis caught the fallen warrior, only to be confronted by Alex, who materialized behind him, his eyes empty of emotion. In a desperate attempt, Mantis swung a powerful punch at Alex, only for it to be effortlessly blocked with a single finger. A flick from Alex's hand sent out a cataclysmic shockwave of kinetic energy. Despite Mantis' ability to nullify physical attacks, this force overwhelmed him, tearing through half of his body, leaving him badly injured. Kalibak, unable to react in time, was completely disintegrated, his once unbreakable form reduced to dust by the sheer might of Alex's strike. Mantis, trembling in fear, knew he stood no chance against this incomprehensible power. Even Darkseid's Omega beams were insignificant in comparison. Realizing his fate, Mantis pleaded for his life, offering a ceasefire with Earth in exchange for survival. He warned Alex that Darkseid, with his grasp on the anti-life equation, would eventually bring Alex under his control. But Alex, embodying cosmic power, was unfazed. Kalibak's shattered form flew through the air like a broken doll, the once mighty warrior now powerless. As Mantis caught the fallen brute, an ominous shadow loomed over him. Alex appeared behind without a sound, his eyes void of mercy. Mantis swung with all his might, but Alex didn't flinch. A single finger stopped the attack, and with a mere flick, Alex's power unleashed a violent shockwave that shattered Mantis' body. Despite his resistance to physical harm, Mantis couldn't stop the overwhelming force. Half his body was obliterated in an instant. Kalibak, too slow to react, was completely disintegrated, his form reduced to nothing but dust. Mantis trembled in fear. Alex's power was beyond anything he'd ever imagined. Even the fearsome Omega beam of Darkseid couldn't rival the destruction Alex wielded. Desperate, Mantis pleaded for mercy, offering peace with Apocalypse in exchange for his life, but warned that Darkseid, with his mastery of the anti-life equation, would eventually bring Alex under his control. The battle against the inevitable destruction of Earth rages on. Steppenwolf, confident in his words, boasts that even if Alex slays him, his victory is already sealed. But Alex remains unfazed. With a cold, knowing smile, he stands unshaken, unbothered by Steppenwolf's threats. In a single, serene motion, Alex intertwines his fingers, his power surging. A radiant golden aura bursts forth, a divine halo forming above him. The unknown wings. Platinum unleash a force like no other, as Alex activates his ultimate technique. Domain expansion, unlimited void. The energy from the fused mother boxes, eternal flame, and the casket of ancient winters merge, feeding into his power. In an instant, the void expands from Gotham, across the United States, and swallows the entire Earth. There is no limit to this expansion, only the energy Alex can control. With his unparalleled abilities and the limitless supply at his command, Earth stands on the brink of an overwhelming transformation. The path of destruction has been replaced by a new realm of cosmic power, reshaping the very fabric of existence itself. Endlessly, they will multiply until every last living being on Earth is consumed. Even if you strike me down, the war is already lost. Steppenwolf sneered, his eyes cold as he stared at Alex. So, what if you're stronger than me? You can't stop Earth's destruction. Even if you eliminate all of us, our victory is inevitable. Alex didn't flinch. Instead, a cold, confident smile spread across his face. Steppenwolf's gleeful expression faltered, his unease growing with every passing moment. With a quiet calm, Alex raised his hands, fingers intertwining in a familiar gesture. I manipulate energy at a precise level, he said, his voice steady. I can create a domain where everything is trapped in an infinite loop of sensation and transmission overloading the mind until it shuts down entirely. As his energy surged, golden wings unfurled from his back, a radiant halo forming above his head. Empowered by the unknown wings, Platinum, his strength soared even higher. With a smile that sent chills down Steppenwolf's spine, Alex uttered the words that would seal the fate of the battle. Domain expansion. Unlimited void. In that instant, 3 mother boxes inside the Pocket Universe emitted a dazzling light, their energy fusing with the eternal flame and the casket of ancient winters. The resulting force, absorbed by Alex, unleashed a new level of power. Unlimited void began to expand outward, first enveloping Gotham, then the United States, and soon, the entirety of Earth. The power of the void, now infinitely extendable with Alex's energy, swept across the planet. With the full force of the unknown wings, Platinum and his level 5 energy absorption, the unlimited void reached over half the Earth. The only limitation was the energy within him. Everything else was now within his grasp. As Alex stands against the looming threat, Steppenwolf, brimming with arrogance, taunts him, asserting that no matter how powerful Alex is, the Earth's destruction is inevitable. Even if Alex defeats him, Steppenwolf believes their victory is sealed. But Alex remains unfazed, flashing a chilling, confident smile that chills Steppenwolf to the core. Calmly, Alex begins to explain his unique ability and energy manipulation technique that creates an endless cycle of overload, trapping minds in an infinite loop of sensation and transmission. In an instant, Alex's power surges, his golden wings unfurl, and a radiant halo forms above him, signaling his transformation with the unknown wings. Platinum. With the words domain expansion, unlimited void, a terrifying energy spreads from his core, expanding across Gotham, the United States, and eventually the entire Earth, erasing everything in its path. As the void spreads endlessly, the only limit to its power is Alex's energy that now courses through him at unimaginable levels. With his platinum wings and mastery of energy, Alex has unleashed a power that transcends all limits. With the parademons wiped out and the battle subsiding, Gotham's streets were eerily quiet, save for the few straggling invaders who were quickly dispatched by local forces. The internet exploded in a frenzy of theories, reactions, and awe. The parademon just vanished out of nowhere. It happened here too, +1. Did you see the stream? Traveler Batman wiped out almost all the parademons with a single move. No way. Is Traveler Batman really that strong? You bet. He took down 3 Apocalypse warriors who were beating Superman and the others like they were nothing. Exactly. He's on a whole different level than the other heroes. I'm betting he could take down every superhero on Earth by himself. No need to even question it. It's a fact. I'm so sorry for doubting him. A hero who can travel the multiverse, his strength is unimaginable. Same here. From now on, I'm Traveler Batman's #1 fan. He's my hero. The Parademon's reign of terror over Gotham was effectively crushed. Alex's strike wiped out most of them, leaving only a few scattered remnants. Local forces quickly dispatched the last of these threats with conventional firepower. As the parademons turned to dust, the internet buzzed with excitement, with forum processors working overtime to handle the surge in activity. The livestream revealed the shocking truth. Traveler Batman had obliterated the parademon forces with a single, mysterious technique. Is Traveler Batman really that powerful? Users asked, astonished by his prowess. Not only did he defeat the parademons, but he had also taken down the fearsome Apocalypse warriors with ease. People were stunned by the revelation that Traveler Batman could potentially defeat any hero on Earth. As the conversation heated up, even the skeptics admitted their admiration. I'm now Traveler Batman's #1 fan. He's my hero, declared one fan, as the legend of this cosmic force spread across the world. The parademons had descended on Gotham, but Alex's attack obliterated most of them. Only a handful remained, swiftly taken out by local forces with standard weapons. As the parademons turned to dust, the internet exploded with new messages, and forums were overwhelmed. The parademons just dropped dead for no reason. Same here. +1. Didn't you see the live stream? Traveler Batman wiped out almost all of them with some insane technique. What? Is Traveler Batman really that strong? Not just that, those Apocalypse warriors who were wrecking Superman and the others, Traveler Batman killed them without breaking a sweat. That's right. Compared to the other heroes, Traveler Batman is on a whole new level. He could probably defeat every hero on Earth alone. No need to wonder, it's a fact. I'm sorry for doubting him. A hero who can travel the multiverse, his strength is beyond anything I imagined. Same here. From now on, I'm Traveler Batman's biggest fan. He's my hero. In the next moment, Alex unlocked his reverse curse technique. At level 4, this power could rewind anything to its former state, whether living or not. With the RCT in play, his disintegrating hand halted its decay and began to heal at lightning speed. Darkseid's Omega Beams might have been a serious threat if they were at full strength, but this fragment, not even close. His hand was completely restored as he caught the beams, harnessing their energy and twisting it into a sphere before absorbing the Omega effect like a champ. The superheroes around him let out a collective sigh of relief. Traveler Batman had done it again. Not even the Omega Beams could harm him. Meanwhile, Steppenwolf, frozen in shock, stammered, "No way. How could you withstand Lord Darkseid's Omega Beams? Who are you?" Alex didn't even flinch. He had just received a system notification. His skills had leveled up. Unknown wings. Platinum had reached level 2, boosting his power even further. The once divided wings of his abilities now synced into a singular force, and this upgrade meant faster experience gains for his other abilities. With this, Alex's power was becoming something beyond imagination, reshaping reality itself. It all felt strangely familiar to Alex. Wasn't this just like those cosmic power deals made by deities in other universes? With the immense power of Unlimited Void creating worlds, Six Eyes giving infinite energy, RCT offering transactional boons, and energy absorption giving him absolute control over energy, Alex realized that once his abilities reached level 6, he would transcend into a godlike being, an unstoppable cosmic entity with no boundaries. But unlike the gods who had their power gifted, Alex's strength came from his own actions. He was the creator of his own universe, not the other way around. After adjusting to the changes brought by his upgraded abilities, Alex spread his unknown wings. Platinum, which stretched 100 meters and shone with a divine glow, making him look like an angel. Then, with a thought, the Unlimited Void expanded to cover the entire planet. RCT sprang to life, restoring everything destroyed during the battle, and the wounded found their bodies healing at an astonishing right arms regrew. Legs returned, and even blind eyes were restored. As long as someone hadn't already died, their wounds were completely healed. But something tugged at Alex's sense. She could feel that reviving the dead was within his grasp, though he chose not to explore it for now. While healing required little energy, resurrection could drain him significantly. However, as RCT worked its magic across Earth, Alex was struck by something odd. While most people were grateful for the miracle, there was a vocal minority who began cursing him. "Damn you, Batman! Why didn't you act sooner?" they yelled. Traveler Batman was no ordinary hero. Bound by no rules, his gifts were earned, not expected. Insults against him weren't simply offenses, they were invitations for his wrath. As the world held its breath, Superman, realizing the weight of what had just transpired, tried to reason with him. "They insulted me," Alex responded flatly, his tone colder than space itself. "But death is too extreme a punishment," Superman argued, yet Alex stood unyielding. "I helped them and they spat in my face. Betrayal means death," he declared. "If you think differently, come for me. See if you can." Superman and the others were silent, overpowered by Alex's unrelenting will. In the end, they couldn't deny it. His actions, no matter how harsh, had saved far more than they had ever sacrificed. Traveler Batman was no ordinary hero. He wasn't bound by rules or coached his abilities. His restoration, his very existence were gifts, not obligation. And when disrespected, he met it with cold, unwavering force. The world felt this shift in power, and for the first time, they went silent. Superman, aware of the tension, spoke to Alex, trying to find some common ground. "Traveler Batman, they insulted me," Alex interrupted. "But death is too extreme," Superman insisted, trying to reason. "They insulted me," Alex repeated, unyielding. "We could have handled it differently," Superman tried again. "They insulted me." The silence grew thicker as Alex's frustration cut through the air. "I helped them, and they spat in my face. That's betrayal. Unlike you, I'm no saint. Betrayal means death. If you disagree with me, treat me as a villain and come after me if you can." Superman, like the others, knew that Alex's power was beyond their reach, and though his methods were harsh, his actions spoke louder than his words. The hero stood still, aware that Alex's contributions made him untouchable, a force they couldn't afford to oppose. After saving the Earth, Alex couldn't care less about Superman or his superhero ideals. He respected him, sure, but living like that? Not for him. Alex had his own path, more in line with someone like Homelander. With a cool, collected stride, he walked over to Catwoman, who gazed at him with a mix of awe and reverence, standing alongside Mara and the others. "Return to Themyscira for now. I'm heading to Apocalypse," Alex said, his voice unwavering. Batman, sensing what Alex had in mind, quickly asked, "Why Apocalypse?" Alex's gaze sharpened, and with a smirk, he replied, "I hate them, especially Darkseid. I'm going to erase him and his entire planet." The superheroes froze, their minds racing. Just moments ago, they barely survived a wave of elite soldiers, and now Alex was about to face the ultimate threat and wipe it all out? Batman tried to talk some sense into him. It's too dangerous to go alone. Steppenwolf said Darkseid's powers are beyond even the Omega beams. We need a plan. But Alex didn't flinch. He looked Batman in the eye and sneered, "You're an embarrassment to your own army. Every Batman, whether for justice or chaos, is a force to be reckoned with. Darkseid doesn't stand a chance." Alex stood above the writhing masses of the Lowleys, cold and detached. Most had been weaklings from their home planets. The brave ones either turned into parademons or slaughtered. Watching their mindless attacks, Alex couldn't help but wonder if they had fought back against Darkseid's invasion, or had they surrendered, allowing themselves to be enslaved and brainwashed. But it didn't matter. His only goal was to obliterate Apocalypse. A forceful wave of energy erupted from him, vaporizing the Lowleys into nothingness. He turned his attention to the endless swarm of parademons who fired energy weapons at him, but Alex simply grinned, his platinum wings glowing brighter. With a flick of his finger, space itself seemed to bend as infinite slashes of energy swept across the planet, slicing the parademons to pieces in an instant. The sheer scale of his attack was draining, but Alex didn't falter. He was at his peak, boosted by his upgraded platinum wings and limitless energy. But just as he prepared for another strike, a pulse of energy from the heart of the city disrupted the space around him, neutralizing his powers. The battle was far from over. Alex stood unfazed, his cold gaze sweeping over the Lowleys below, a swarm of pitiful creatures, remnants of weaklings from their home planets. The brave ones had long been turned into parademons, or annihilated. He couldn't help but wonder if they'd fought back when Darkseid's forces came crashing down on their worlds, or if they'd surrendered, only to be enslaved and brainwashed. But it didn't matter. His mission was clear. Apocalypse had to fall. With a casual flick of his hand, Alex released an overwhelming force, sending a wave of energy that wiped the Lowleys from existence, their bodies turning into vapor in an instant. Without missing a beat, he turned to the relentless parademons, their energy weapons useless against him. A grin tugged at his lips as his platinum wings flared, his power rising, expanding across the planet. With the unlimited void at his command, the parademons were instantly eradicated, sliced apart by an endless barrage of space slashes. He stood there, breathing steadily, his aura still glowing, readying for the next strike. But then, the air trembled, a strange energy pulse radiating from the heart of the city, disrupting his domain. Alex knew this was just the beginning. Apocalypse was far from finished, and neither was he. In a desperate attempt to prevent total destruction, the energy core of Apocalypse shuts down its supply to other areas, channeling everything into a single, unstable surge aimed at neutralizing Alex's domain. Apocalypse, a technological marvel and second only to New Genesis in its power, boasts an energy core comparable to 3 mother boxes combined. Yet, despite these reserves, its energy falls far short of Alex's overwhelming might. Inside the heart of the core palace, Dazad, once an unshakable force behind the scenes, now scrambles in panic, urging his team to halt the human invaders' progress. His mind races as he recalls the terror of Alex's arrival, a lone Earthling, who effortlessly deployed an energy field strong enough to devastate Apocalypse. Dazad had never known fear like this, and for good reason. Parademons were obliterated in an instant, and had it not been for Apocalypse's defensive systems, the entire planet might have already fallen. This human, so alien yet so powerful, might be their end. Dazad's heart pounds as he yells to his staff, desperate to stop the inevitable collapse. What kind of being was this? Could he truly be from Earth? The impossible weight of this question hangs heavy, the fate of Apocalypse teetering on the edge. In a desperate attempt to prevent total destruction, the energy core of Apocalypse shuts down its supply to other areas, channeling everything into a single, unstable surge aimed at neutralizing Alex's domain. Apocalypse, a technological marvel and second only to New Genesis in its power, boasts an energy core comparable to 3 mother boxes combined. Yet, despite these reserves, its energy falls far short of Alex's overwhelming might. Inside the heart of the core palace, Dazad, once an unshakable force behind the scenes, now scrambles in panic, urging his team to halt the human invaders' progress. His mind races as he recalls the terror of Alex's arrival, a lone Earthling who effortlessly deployed an energy field strong enough to devastate Apocalypse. Dazad had never known fear like this, and for good reason. Parademons were obliterated in an instant, and had it not been for Apocalypse's defensive systems, the entire planet might have already fallen. This human, so alien yet so powerful, might be their end. Dazad's heart pounds as he yells to his staff, desperate to stop the inevitable collapse. What kind of being was this? Could he truly be from Earth? The impossible weight of this question hangs heavy, the fate of Apocalypse teetering on the edge. With a determined call, the order was sent. Granny goodness, Unleash the Furies now. They must stop him. I've primed the energy cannons. Just give me a minute and I'll obliterate that Earthling. Apocalypse, the second most advanced world in the universe, had energy cannons powerful enough to destroy entire planets. When combined, their power would surely incinerate the Earthling. Granny Goodness responded swiftly. The Furies are on their way. They'll be there soon. Meanwhile, Alex, sensing their arrival, locked eyes on them, the infamous Furies, elite warriors loyal to Darkseid, trained by Granny Goodness, each possessing strength equal to Earth's gods. It was clear that Alex's previous actions had truly struck fear into Apocalypse's rulers, prompting them to send their deadliest forces. But they underestimated him. As the Furies launched their attack, Alex smiled, appearing before a woman clad in green armor in a flash. The Furies were genetically enhanced and stunningly beautiful, but Alex wasn't swayed by their allure. Without hesitation, he pressed a red and white singularity to her face, and in a blink, the energy of a supernova tore through her. No god could survive such a force. The message came through loud and clear. Granny Goodness, deploy the Furies right away. They need to stop him. I've already charged up the energy cannons, just buy me a minute and I'll erase that. Earthling, on Apocalypse, the energy cannons weren't just weapons, they were planet-shattering beasts. A blast from a single cannon could obliterate a world, and if they focused their power on the Earthling, he'd be dust. Granny Goodness didn't hesitate. The Furies are already en route, she confirmed. Meanwhile, Alex felt the presence of the incoming forces. As they got closer, he recognized them none other than the infamous Furies. Trained by Granny Goodness herself, these warriors were Darkseid's most lethal assets, each as powerful as gods. Alex's actions had clearly rattled Apocalypse enough to send their strongest against him. But they were fooling themselves if they thought these elite warriors could stop him. Smirking, Alex teleported right in front of Anye green-armored Fury. Each of them was genetically enhanced, not only for strength, but for beauty, making them a dangerous mix of allure and power. But Alex wasn't the type to be swayed. With a swift move, he pressed a red and white singularity to her face. The result was immediate, only ashes remained. Not even the might of the Furies could withstand the destructive force of Alex's power. In an instant, Orly's fate was sealed as her head exploded. Her divine blood painting Apocalypse's sky, tearing apart Darkseid's seemingly unchallenged reign. With her death, the Furies didn't grieve, they thrived. Each one burned with ambition, ready to claim her now vacant position. Lashina, black whip in hand, aimed to strike Alex, her weapon capable of reaching impossible speeds, one that had felled gods. But before she could land a blow, Alex caught it effortlessly, undeterred by its lethal force. In a blink, he soared above, smashing his knee into her chest with a sound that crushed her body into a grotesque mass. She was gone. The remaining Furies, undaunted by her death, remained steadfast in their indoctrinated loyalty to Darkseid, but their caution grew. Harriet and Gilatina attacked in unison, their weapons razor claws and indestructible sword shitting with precision. They thought victory was within reach, certain their weapons would pierce Alex. But to their shock, not a single cut marred his clothes. With a flick of his hand, the weapons of his attackers were absorbed before they even made contact, their kinetic energy nullified in an instant. Even without that power, Alex could have redirected their strikes using his vector manipulation, or simply allowed their supposedly indestructible weapons to bounce off his unbreakable form. His skin, like steel, remained unaffected, only his clothes might have taken a hit. But the nanite symbiote within them would fix that in a flash. With a wave, he sent both assailants flying. Yet he felt a faint, phantom pain from their attacks, instinctively rubbing his side and groin. I know you envy the others. Sure, Darkseid's no challenge, but coming after my precious, that was your mistake. If you hurt me, how will they manage? He mused, noticing the remaining Furies glaring at him, their faces cold and unapologetic. Annoyed, he decided it was time to end this. In a heartbeat, a purple sphere of energy formed in his hand, transforming into a slender, glowing sword. With a fluid motion, he sliced through the Furies in one stroke, their bodies barely able to react before the blade cut them down. The heads of several split cleanly, their minds fading as their bodies crumpled. Only one, a woman in white, had her head severed so precisely it stayed conscious, blood pouring from her neck as Alex grabbed it, holding it aloft. In the midst of an unstoppable onslaught, Alex stood his ground as Gilatina's body writhed, attempting to regenerate. With a swift grip, he unleashed a surge of black and red lightning. Obliterating her head completely, the battlefield was still. The titanic forces were no more, and now Alex turned his focus to the lesser threats. But just as he did, a massive energy cannon, bright as the sun, powered up at the city's heart, a colossal beam shot toward him, a weapon capable of tearing planets apart. Desaad, observing from his lab, clung to the hope that this might end Alex's reign. But to his horror, Alex wasn't just blocking the beam, was absorbing it. The energy of an apocalypse itself flowed through him without a hint of strain. Now, stronger than ever, Alex effortlessly absorbed the destructive force, his power growing with each second. No longer a mere mortal, he was a god among men. With his newfound strength, he bent the fabric of space itself, vanishing from the battlefield in a heartbeat, reappearing before a woman twisted by her own malevolence. The Conqueror's journey had just begun. With a glance, Alex immediately recognized the familiar figure. Among the feared elite of Apocalypse, only one ancient force commanded such presence: Granny Goodness. Despite her deceptive name, Granny was anything but gentle. As the ruthless commander of Apocalypse Special Forces, including the Furies she personally trained, she was a force to be reckoned with. Realizing Alex's sudden arrival, she panicked and fired her energy weapon, but when a weapon capable of destroying planets had no effect on him, what could her weapon possibly do? Without a second thought, Alex barely acknowledged her existence. With a simple flick of his hand, a massive repulsion force obliterated her, turning her into a bloody smear across the walls. The commander of Apocalypse Might had been erased. Unfazed, Alex continued his march towards the heart of the city's defense system, knowing that once he dismantled it, his control over the planet would be absolute. This time, he didn't teleport. He walked leisurely, savoring the moment, aware that the outcome was inevitable. As he advanced, a group of legendary warriors came charging at him. Kanto, the master assassin, the Green Titan wielding a fiery staff, Vermin Vundabar, Darkseid's cunning tactician, and others, all powerful enough to strike terror into the cosmos. They combined their strengths, launching a devastating attack, blazing energy beams, earth-shattering punches, and razor-sharp blades aimed from every angle. But their combined might was stopped cold, halted by an invisible barrier just 50 meters away from Alex. Kanto could feel the immense pressure as his hands trembled, struggling against the unseen force. What kind of power is this? He thought, realizing that the enemy they faced was unlike anything they'd ever encountered, an unstoppable force capable of annihilating planets in an instant. He had taken down countless formidable beings with his dagger, some even capable of holding their own against him for extended periods, but never before had he faced a scenario where he couldn't even get close to his enemy. It wasn't just him, this was a full-on assault by multiple high-level entities, yet their combined attacks had been effortlessly neutralized. Realizing the true magnitude of the opponent before them, Kanto tightened his grip, ensuring his sweaty hands wouldn't hinder his strikes. Steadying himself, he shouted, "Everyone, go all out, or we're done for!" They all nodded grimly, knowing the gravity of the situation, and unleashed their full power, attacking with relentless fury. But no matter how fierce their efforts, their strikes proved completely useless. Despite being physically smaller than any of them, the enemy stood like an immovable mountain, casting a suffocating shadow that made even breathing difficult. With a smile, the enemy raised his hand, mimicking the motion of drawing a bow. Around him, vectors reacted to his will, converging rapidly to form a vector axis. The immense energy fused together, twisting the space around it and growing even stronger, 10 times stronger than before. As the vector axis took shape, alarms blared from a distant lab. "Warning, warning, a massive energy source detected. Evacuate immediately." Dazad's face contorted in terror as he watched through the surveillance system, the energy arrow forming, aimed directly at his Laban, the city's core defenses. He knew exactly what the Earthling planned to do: destroy the city's defenses and reactivate that devastating power capable of sweeping across all of Apocalypse. Dazad knew he had to stop the attack, but deep down, he had no confidence he could. The energy detection systems blared, revealing that the 1-meter-long energy arrow contained power dozens of times greater than the most destructive planetary cannon. Dazad, knowing full well he couldn't possibly block it, refused to flee. He frantically typed in commands, trying to compress the city's defense shields in a desperate attempt to stop the incoming blast. But running now wasn't an option. If he survived, Darkseid's wrath would be far worse, and that was a fate worse than any Earthling could imagine. He shuddered at the thought, adjusting the city's defenses with trembling hands. Meanwhile, Alex, unconcerned by the approaching leaders of Apocalypse, kept his focus on the vector axis. He noticed the shrinking defense barrier in the distance, but paid it no mind. The vector axis wasn't like traditional attacks. It was a force beyond time and space. Though it appeared just a meter long, its reach was infinite. Anything caught in its path would be absorbed, its vectors twisted and enhanced by Alex's manipulation. He controlled the scalar quantities, amplifying the power of everything the axis consumed by 10 times. When the vector axis was fully prepared, Alex unleashed it. What started as a small arrow grew into a massive spear hundreds of meters long, hurtling toward its target Unaffected by distance or even the Six Eyes' ability to track its path, the vector spear raced through everything in its path, hitting the heart of the laboratory in a flash. Dazad and Dr. Bedlam barely had time to react before the spear tore through their defenses, absorbing their energy and multiplying its own power. The city's defense core crumbled, and Alex, now ready, triggered his unlimited void once more. The leaders of Apocalypse stood frozen, gazing at the massive chasm that had split the city in two, confused by the sudden devastation. To them, Alex had simply opened his hand, and in an instant, their world had shattered. The defense system was gone. The city lay in ruins, and even Darkseid's domain seemed to be no more. A chill realization sank in had Darkseid fallen. Enraged, the Apocalypse leaders charged, but Alex, calm as ever, expanded his domain again, pulling the entire city into the void. With a thought, their bodies disintegrated into dust. Apocalypse leaders were obliterated, but Alex wasn't done. He sought the total annihilation of the planet. Just as he was about to act, a figure shot toward him, an aura of Omega beams surrounding it. Darkseid had survived the attack. He tore through the air, his veins pulsating with fury, and roared, "Stop!" Despite Darkseid's desperate cry, Alex remained unfazed, effortlessly manipulating the very fabric of Apocalypse. Boom! In an instant, the planet's vectors and scalars unraveled, tearing apart its gravitational pull, shattering Apocalypse like a fragile glass orb, with debris flying through space. But Alex wasn't finished. With ruthless precision, he unleashed a barrage of spatial slashes, decimating the shattered land and reducing mountains to dust. A sea of purple energy enveloped the planet, and when it finally faded, only the vast emptiness of space remained, with Darkseid and Alex as the lone witnesses. Darkseid, kneeling amidst the ruin, could only stare in disbelief, as his world, his empire, and his dream vanished into stardust. "No! I will end you!" he screamed, charging at Alex in a fit of rage, unleashing Omega beams that Alex absorbed with ease, their power nullified by his reversal curse technique. Realizing his failure, Darkseid resorted to invoking the anti-life equation, a weapon that could strip away free will. His voice dripped with malice as he recited the equation, but Alex simply allowed it to wash over him, unfazed, knowing it would have no effect. Darkseid's eyes gleamed with hatred as he saw Alex's calm, but there would be no victory today. This universe shaper was beyond his reach, and the mighty new god was about to learn just how powerless he truly was. The anti-life equation was supposed to break anyone, yet this Earthling proved immune. Darkseid, expecting to control him, was met with mockery instead. But before the ruler of Apocalypse could react, his vision blurred, and the Earthling, Alex, appeared before him. With a terrifying realization, Darkseid found himself paralyzed, utterly powerless as Alex's hand gripped his skull. In a burst of purple lightning, Darkseid, the most formidable new god, was obliterated. With his mission complete, Alex opened a portal back to Earth, where superheroes waited anxiously for his return, having witnessed his triumph over Apocalypse. Earth had been saved, but the lingering fear of Apocalypse's power and the unknowns of Darkseid's arsenal still haunted the heroes. Just as they were planning to regroup, the Flash noticed something strange, signaling that Alex's story was far from over. After saying his goodbyes, Alex heads back to Themyscira, reflecting on his incredible haul from Apocalypse. The first gem? A treasure trove of high-tech knowledge. Apocalypse wasn't just a planet, it was a technological juggernaut capable of conquering galaxies with pure innovation. Alex had sifted through Dazad's mind, the brain of Apocalypse's scientific empire, and unlocked strategies to supercharge his barrier techniques. With this knowledge in hand, he revamped the core barrier of his pocket universe, setting the stage for something bigger, the fusion of the three mother boxes. What had once been separated for safety's sake avoiding Apocalypse control was now ripe for fusion. With Apocalypse crumbled to dust, no threats remained. Mastering energy absorption and equipped with his Six Eyes, Alex effortlessly completed the barrier upgrades. Hours later, the mother boxes were placed at the heart of Themyscira, their fusion unleashing a new wave of power, lighting up the land as the pocket universe expanded, now many times the size of small countries. The energy continued to flow, driving Alex's template fusion with accelerator to new heights, and suddenly, the system notified him, template fusion 81%, new skill unlocked, third tree abyss. The third tree abyss was more than a power boost, it fused magic, technology, and soul into one, allowing Alex to wield a vector spear that bypasses immortality itself. As the cosmic forces whirled around him, Alex realized this was just the beginning of a new chapter. After saying his goodbyes, Alex returned to Themyscira, reflecting on his recent victories and the incredible power he had gained from Apocalypse. Among his newfound abilities was the deep, advanced technological knowledge of Apocalypse, a planet known for its technological dominance. This was a goldmine for Alex, who had extracted valuable data from Dazad, the chief scientist of Apocalypse. Using this information, he enhanced his barrier techniques and set his sights on fusing the 3 mother boxes that he had separated to prevent Apocalypse from gaining control over them. Now that Apocalypse had been obliterated, the threat was gone, and the fusion process began. Armed with his mastery over energy absorption and the 6 eyes, Alex effortlessly modified the core barrier of his pocket universe. As the fusion completed, a wave of pure, potent energy surged from the mother boxes, expanding the pocket universe to unimaginable size larger than many small countries. With this achievement locked in, Alex turned to the energy he had absorbed from Apocalypse's destructive weaponry, channeling it into his own template fusion, pushing his power to new heights. As the energy points stacked, Alex unlocked the 3rd tree abyss, a skill that fused magic, technology, and soul into one, allowing him to wield a vector spear that could bypass immortality. This new power set Alex on an entirely new path, a journey toward godlike abilities and the expansion of his universe. Beginning with the hunt for the 10-tailed seed in the Naruto world, after leaving his allies behind, Alex returned to Themyscira, ready to absorb the full impact of his recent victories on Apocalypse. First off, he'd harvested a massive treasure trove of advanced tech from the Twisted World technology so powerful it could dominate galaxies, a force to be reckoned with. Alex had wrung every last bit of valuable intel from Dazad, Apocalypse's lead scientist, unlocking new techniques to sharpen his own power. Using this cutting-edge knowledge, Alex refined the core of his pocket universe and set the stage for a game-changing move, fusing the 3 mother boxes. He'd separated them initially to prevent Apocalypse from controlling them remotely, but with the Apocalypse now in the past, he no longer needed the extra caution. His control over energy, enhanced by his mastery at level 5 in the 6 eyes, made the fusion process a breeze. Hours later, the fused mother boxes lay at the heart of Themyscira, and a new, more potent energy began to pulse from them. It was as if the universe itself was expanding his pocket universe now several times larger than before, surpassing even the size of small nations. As it stabilized, Alex turned to his other spoils. The energy he'd absorbed from Apocalypse's destructive weapons, combined with the constant flow from the pocket universe and the mother box fusion, caused his power to skyrocket. His template fusion surged ahead, unlocking a powerful new skill, 3rd Tree Abyss. This ability fused magic, technology, and soul, granting him a godlike power boost and the ability to unleash a vector spear that pierced through immortality itself. Alex had gifted the trident to Mara to amplify her powers, and after some rare downtime, he rested before diving back into his teleportation training, hoping to reach the next level. With almost every corner of Earth explored in the DCEU, his attention turned to other universes to further enhance his pocket universe. The Marvel Universe, more familiar to him, seemed like the right next step for his ambitions. But a significant challenge lay ahead: the Celestials. These beings, at the pinnacle of single-universe power, would detect his arrival if he moved too hastily, and despite Alex's impressive strength, he was no match for them. So, he focused on honing his teleportation skills, aiming for level 5, which would open the door to limitless worlds. After a series of grueling attempts, the moment finally came. His skill leveled up. The upgraded teleportation skill unlocked new potential, allowing Alex to sense and reach beyond parallel universes, entering realms far beyond his previous reach. With this newfound power, he could now break free from the constraints of any world, although, for now, his destination remained a mystery. Alex gifted Mara the trident, enhancing her powers. With rare free time, Alex decided to rest before diving back into practicing his teleportation skills, aiming to level up his ability. Having explored nearly everything in the DCEU, there was no longer any reason for him to stay. He needed to travel to other universes to perfect his pocket universe. While he was familiar with improving his pocket world in the Marvel Universe, there was a looming threat: the Celestials. These beings, powerful enough to detect disturbances across entire universes, were watching him. If he returned too hastily, they would strike, and despite his growing strength, Alex knew he was no match for them. So, he focused his efforts on leveling up his teleportation ability, determined to reach level 5. With relentless practice, he finally succeeded, unlocking a new skill that allowed him to open portals to any dimension, universe, or world, as long as he had the necessary magic or energy. A flood of information entered his mind, and he could now sense not only parallel universes but many more, allowing him to break free from any world's constraints and travel to others. However, he couldn't yet control which world he would reach. Alex gifted Mara the trident, enhancing her powers. With rare free time, Alex decided to rest before diving back into practicing his teleportation skills, aiming to level up his ability. Having explored nearly everything in the DCEU, there was no longer any reason for him to stay. He needed to travel to other universes to perfect his pocket universe. While he was familiar with improving his pocket world in the Marvel universe, there was a looming threat: the Celestials. These beings, powerful enough to detect disturbances across entire universes, were watching him. If he returned too hastily, they would strike, and despite his growing strength, Alex knew he was no match for them. So, he focused his efforts on leveling up his teleportation ability, determined to reach level 5. With relentless practice, he finally succeeded, unlocking a new skill that allowed him to open portals to any dimension, universe, or world, as long as he had the necessary magic or energy. A flood of information entered his mind, and he could now sense not only parallel universes but many more, allowing him to break free from any world's constraints and travel to others. However, he couldn't yet control which world he would reach. Alex gave Mara the trident, boosting her abilities. With rare downtime, he relaxed briefly before honing his teleportation powers, aiming to take it to the next level. Having explored almost everything in the DCEU, he felt it was time to venture into other universes to refine his pocket universe. While Alex was more familiar with improving his pocket universe in the Marvel universe, he couldn't rush back there just yet. The Celestials were watching, and any hasty move would alert them, triggering a coordinated attack. Despite his growing strength, Alex wasn't a match for the Celestials. Instead, he focused on his teleportation, determined to reach level 5 with this skill. After countless hours of practice, the skill finally leveled up, unlocking the ability to open portals to any dimension or universe. With the new upgrade, Alex could now sense more than just parallel universes. He could feel the presence of countless other worlds. Though he could now break free from the confines of any world and travel to others, he still lacked control over which world he would reach. In a world where even the mightiest of gods like Darkseid are limited by the laws of the universe, Alex stands apart. The creator of his own pocket universe, Alex is its true master, able to carry it with him wherever he goes. His power is not confined by dimensions, it's boundless, drawing endless energy from his creation. With his abilities, Alex accelerates his template fusion and operates at full power, unrestrained by the natural laws of any world he enters. When Alex arrives in the land of Shinobi, known as Naruto's world, he is immediately aware of his potential to dominate. His strength could erase even the mighty Otsutsuki clan with ease. But Alex's sights are set on something greater than Ten Tails, a being with the potential to expand his pocket universe and unlock new power. Though it has relatively low energy, its connection to the God Tree and the origin of chakra presents a unique opportunity. As Alex explores this new world, he considers the ways he can harness the Ten Tails to reshape his creation and ascend further. This is the beginning of a new chapter in his journey, one of godlike power, world-shaping, and boundless possibilities. If beings like Darkseid or other dimensional gods arrived in this universe, their power would be severely limited by the natural ceiling of this world. But Alex? He's a game changer. Having crafted his own pocket universe, he's not bound by the same restrictions. He's its true master, not a puppet. While other gods are tethered to the dimensions they rule, Alex can carry his creation wherever he goes, tapping into its infinite energy supply to fuel his power. In this new world, he's not just surviving, he's thriving, pushing the limits of his abilities to the max. His plan to forge an artificial universe is already coming to fruition, and nothing can stand in his way. His 6 eyes, glowing with ethereal blue light, scan the world around him. In a single glance, he takes in everything within a 10-kilometer radius, and with more energy, this range could expand infinitely. As he surveys the land, Alex realizes where he is the world of Shinobi, better known as the Naruto universe. With his strength, even the legendary Totsuki clan would fall before him. And now, his mind starts turning. There's one particular treasure here that could elevate his pocket universe, the Ten Tails. Though its power is not overwhelming, it holds the key to the origin of chakra and, with time, could grow to an unstoppable force. This world is his playground, and the Ten Tails could be the piece that pushes him beyond godhood. Grief overwhelmed Kakashi, breaking him down into tears for the first time since his father's death. Obito, despite his pain, tried to comfort him. Kakashi, this isn't on you. And hey, looks like I'm the only one who never gave you a gift when you became a Jonin. So, I've made up my mind. I'm giving you my Sharingan. Obito then turned to Rin. Rin, use your medical ninjutsu to transplant my Sharingan into Kakashi's eye. Rin agreed instantly, and together they urged Kakashi, explaining that it was the best choice for him. Reluctantly, Kakashi agreed. After the transplant, Kakashi and Rin took one last look at Obito before leaving the collapsing cave. As they vanished from sight, Alex emerged from the shadows, staring down at the ground. Below him, Madara and his followers were preparing to save Obito. but Alex wasn't there to interfere. He intended to become the new version of Obito. Smirking to himself, he imagined how Obito would feel seeing another version of himself stay with his friends, inherit everything, and win Rin's heart. Alex grinned as he moved forward, his body shrinking until he appeared as a 12-year-old boy, his face transformed, becoming a perfect replica of Obito, his Sharingan spinning slowly in his eyes. Using his reverse curse technique, Alex effortlessly completed the transformation. With a final step, Alex appeared behind his unsuspecting targets, Kakashi and Rin. Stumbling toward them weakly, Alex called out, "Rin, Kakashi!" His voice, perfectly mimicked from Obito's memories through the unlimited void, fooled even the sharpest of senses. The ninja, always alert, instantly turned around, eyes wide in disbelief. That's Obito's voice! They thought, rushing to find a healed Obito, leaning casually against a tree, his Sharingan spinning slowly. Rin moved to assist, but Kakashi, ever the vigilant Jonin, stopped her, suspicion rising. "Who are you?" he demanded, his cold gaze fixed on the figure before them. Alex, anticipating the question, smirked and replied with a mock annoyance, "Damn it, Kakashi, how could you stop Rin from helping me?" At that, both Kakashi and Rin exhaled a sigh of relief. Only the real Obito could speak like that. But despite the relief, their kunai never wavered, and they approached cautiously, still unsure. "Obito, how are your injuries healed, and what's with your eyes?" Kakashi's voice was sharp, tension thick in the air. With one final step, Alex found himself right behind Kakashi and Rin, who had no idea he was approaching. He weakly called out, "Rin, Kakashi." Having already accessed Obito's memories using his unlimited void, Alex perfectly imitated Obito's voice and mannerisms, blending in seamlessly. Ninjas were known for their sharp senses, and even the slightest sound could set them off. Kakashi and Rin turned around, their eyes wide with shock. "That's Obito's voice," they thought. They rushed over to find a fully healed Obito leaning against a tree, his Sharingan eyes spinning. Rin stepped forward to help him, but Kakashi, despite his sorrow, held her back. His instincts as a Jonin kicked in, and he coldly assessed the situation. "Who are you?" he demanded. Alex, expecting this, smirked and said, "Damn it, Kakashi, how could you stop Rin from helping me?" Hearing those words, Kakashi and Rin exhaled in relief. That tone was unmistakable Obito's. Still, they didn't let their guard down. Holding their kunai, they cautiously approached. "Obito, how are your injuries healed? And what's going on with your eyes?" Kakashi asked, his voice tense. Alex was a force to be reckoned with, more than just a conqueror. He was becoming something divine. After stabilizing his universe and defeating Doomsday, he set his sights on Apocalypse, where the mighty dark side awaited. With powers like the Platinum Wings and Reverse Curse technique, Alex didn't just fight. He reshaped the very laws of physics, annihilating Darkseid's forces with a single wave of his hand. The battle wasn't just about victory, it was about dominance. Alex wiped Apocalypse from existence in a stunning display of power, showing the universe that he wasn't just another tyrant. He was the one who would reshape reality itself. And as the smoke cleared, he entered a new dimension, ready to conquer the Naruto world, his next challenge in a never-ending cycle of transcendence. In this new world, his mission was clear. Find the Ten Tails and continue to forge his path as a cosmic architect. Obito's shock echoed as he shouted, "I'm the real Uchiha Obito!" His voice trembled with confusion and determination, realizing the grave mistake that had been made. "I need to go back. If even Rin and Kakashi are deceived by this imposter, there's no one left to stop him. This faker must have some hidden agenda. It's time to expose his true identity." Uchiha Madara, watching this unexpected twist unfold, felt the weight of the situation. The appearance of this imposter had disrupted everything, especially with Obito considering a return to Konoha. Madara had planned for Obito to stay, learn, and witness Rin's death to awaken his Mangekyo Sharingan. Sighing heavily, Madara realized that he had no choice but to take new steps to minimize the damage. With a firm command, he ordered, "Obito, look at me!" Obito, unable to resist, met Madara's eyes, and before he could react, his vision was overtaken by Madara's Crimson Sharingan, spinning as if they were pulling his very soul. As Obito collapsed unconscious, Madara exhaled deeply, his old and fragile body struggling to contain Obito's memories. Obito's voice trembled with a surge of emotion as he declared, "I'm the real Uchiha Obito!" Confusion gripped him, his mind racing as he realized the imposter had even fooled his closest allies. "No, I have to go back. If even Rin and Kakashi have fallen for this fake, then no one will know the truth. That imposter must be hiding something sinister, and I'm going to expose him." Uchiha Madara's expression darkened, his plans disrupted by this unexpected twist. Obito, still reeling from the shock, seemed set on returning to Konoha, but Madara needed him to stay and witness Rin's tragic fate. The old warrior sighed, defeated by the unforeseen complication. He knew he had to act fast to keep things on course. Madara's voice cut through the tension. "Obito, look at me!" Obito obeyed instinctively, and in an instant, Madara's crimson Sharingan swirled, trapping him in its hypnotic grip. As Obito fell unconscious, Madara let out a long breath. His age was showing, and even suppressing Obito's memories had become a struggle. Alex scanned the eerie figure in the distance, his fingers tapping his chin thoughtfully. He felt something stir in the air. A flicker of movement from behind, and the ninja was on the move. It was obvious an ambush, aimed straight for Alex and Rin. One was injured, the other a healer, both far from a match for a seasoned fighter. With a dangerous gleam in his eye, the ambusher closed in, his target locked. Rin, oblivious to the danger, was caught off guard until Alex's sharp warning broke through. "Rin, watch out! Someone's attacking!" Reacting just in time, Rin darted to the side, narrowly avoiding the strike. But the ninja wasn't done. With a twisted grin, he confronted Alex, his voice raspy and chilling like metal grinding on metal. "Uchiha brat, how did you sense my attack?" Alex, carried on Rin's back, smirked, looking down at the assailant. "Really? Never heard of the Uchiha? The Sharingan?" The ninja's face contorted in anger, his grin deepening. "Unfair, isn't it? Your power surges the moment those eyes open. You were just a low-level Chunin, but now, thanks to that Sharingan, you've crushed my comrade. And now, this power, this unimaginable power of yours." In the heat of battle, Alex, knowing he could eliminate the threat with a mere flick of his finger, played the part of a frantic, panicked ally. "Kakashi, you idiot! What are you standing there for? Kill him already!" he shouted. But before the words even left his lips, Kakashi was already on the move, his short blade locking with the enemies in a flurry of action. The clash unfolded in real time, with Kakashi seeming to struggle against the relentless assault, but Alex wasn't concerned. After all, in the original timeline, Kakashi had been more than capable of taking down any opponent after unlocking his Sharingan. Even if the unexpected happened and Kakashi failed, Alex was confident the debut of the Mangekyo Sharingan would be something to behold. To ensure things played out just right, Alex even stopped Rin from intervening, convincing her to trust in Kakashi's strength, the bond of comradeship, and the unspoken power that came with it. Together, they watched as Kakashi, using every ounce of his remaining energy, unleashed the Chidori, a dazzling surge of lightning that cracked through the air with the speed and intensity of a storm, catching the enemy off guard and tipping the scales in their favor. Just as Kakashi's Chidori was about to land the final strike, a blur of motion slammed into him. Sumashi of the Stone, leading an entire assault squad, had arrived. Kakashi hit the ground hard, groaning as he tried to push himself up. Behind him, Rin stood fragile and cornered, guarding the wounded trio of Leaf Ninja. In the original Current of Fate, this was when the Yellow Flash would have torn through time and distance to rescue them, but now, Alex's six eyes swept the horizon and found nothing. No Minato, cause and effect had shifted. Alex's presence had twisted the thread of time, and now the Iwa forces were too early. If nothing changed, Kakashi and Rin wouldn't live to see another breath. One of the Iwa shinobi snarled and raised his kunai, eyes glinting with cruelty, savoring the thought of slow agony. Sumashi didn't flinch, only needed one captive. He turned to Rin, who stood guard before Alex, her eyes resolute. "Where is the Yellow Flash? Where's Konoha's command center?" he demanded coldly. Rin didn't flinch. She clutched her senbon tighter and turned to Alex with a tender smile that masked the storm within. "Obito, we survived one death, only to walk into another. I'm sorry. I was never strong enough to protect you." Across the field, Kakashi bled and staggered upright, his mind spinning at her words, rage and helplessness burning behind his single eye. Exhausted and drained of chakra, Alex's body refused to obey as he tried once again to summon the power of lightning. The weight of his weakness pressed down, and it became clear. No more jutsu, no! Kakashi shouted, unwilling to watch another comrade fall. Meanwhile, Sumashi remained indifferent, his cold voice cutting through the tension. "Kill the girl, then interrogate the Uchiha brat. Don't forget to take his eyes. The Sharingan is rare." His words were met with a firm yes as the Iwanin moved forward, but Rin's body was already taut with readiness. Just as she prepared to charge, a hand gripped her, unyielding and strong. Alex's voice broke through the tension, calm yet laced with an unmistakable contempt. "Rin, Kakashi, it's time you witnessed the power of a god." The advancing Iwanin paused, and the mockery began. "Sumashi, I think this Uchiha brat's fear has finally driven him mad. God's power? Ha!" They laughed, but Sumashi's lips curled into a sarcastic smile. "Enough. Let's not waste time. Kill them. Extract Konoha's information. Confused, she glanced up at the Jonin, only to witness his entire form come to a halt, suspended in mid-action. The kunai in his hand was frozen in place. Its blade halted before it could strike. Moments later, a red line appeared across his neck, and with a sickening thud, his head toppled, blood gushing out in an uncontrolled spray. But the blood didn't reach Heron, invisible barrier stopped it midair. A soft sound came from behind her, and she turned, eyes widening at the sight of a familiar yet unfamiliar figure. He walked toward her slowly, hands in pockets, as the blood surrounding him seemed to move with him. Rin stared, stunned, unsure of what she was seeing. Before she could say anything, the figure Alex flashed her a bright, radiant smile, speaking in a calm voice. "I told you, leave it to me." A heavy silence descended on the battlefield as the Iwa ninjas slowly snapped back into reality. They scanned their surroundings, realizing no backup from Konoha was coming, their eyes now fixed on Alex. Sumashi, still processing the inexplicable death of his comrade, looked at Alex with a serious, cautious expression. "How did you do that?" he asked, voice tinged with disbelief. All eyes turned to Alex now, including those of Rin and Kakashi, waiting for an answer that might never come. She blinked up at the Jonin, confusion clouding her eyes, then everything stopped. His charge froze, mid-motion, kunai locked in air, limbs held in invisible suspension. A second later, a thin red line painted itself across his neck, and his head slid clean off. Thudding to the ground, his blood erupted like a crimson geyser. But before a single drop could touch her, it froze halted by an unseen barrier. A soft footstep echoed behind her. She spun around. There he washed hands in pockets, a slow swagger in his step, as if gravity bent toward him. Blood hung midair like marionettes on invisible strings, drifting around him in reverence. Her eyes widened. This wasn't the same Obitono, it was someone else entirely. Then he turned, flashed that disarmingly radiant smile, and said with calm certainty, "I told you, leave it to me." Silence drowned the battlefield. The Iwa shinobi froze, nerves taut, eyes scanning for backup that didn't exist. All attention snapped back to him. Even their most battle-hardened couldn't process what just happened. A Jonin was erased without a trace, without resistance. Sumashi stared at the fallen body, blood-chilling. No one, even him, had seen how it was done. That meant the technique defied logic, defied vision, defied defense. His voice trembled as he asked, "How did you do that?" Now, even allies watched with wary awe. All eyes on Alex, Alex casually flashed his Mangekyo Sharingan, pointing to his eyes and explaining, "These are a whole step beyond the regular 3 Tomoe. I unlocked them when I was on the brink of death. Each eye has its own power. Mine? One heals injuries, and the other, well, I control space itself." With a grin, he sliced the air, unleashing an invisible slash that tore through the ground and cleaved the ninja in two, his body falling lifeless. The onlookers were stunned. A Chunin had just killed a Jonin with a single swipe. Everyone was silent, processing the impossible. Then, Sumashi, trying to rally the troops, shouted, "We've got to strike! A jutsu like that must drain his chakra! Attack together, and we can take this kid down!" His comrades nodded, agreeing. "Right! We'll use everything we've got, let's take down this Uchiha brat!" In this world of deadly battles and overwhelming power, the game has shifted. The mission isn't about gathering intel anymore. It's all about taking down the Uchiha nothing more, nothing less. A storm of jutsu rains down, every ninja locked in with a single goal, to obliterate Alex and his team. Earth release, earth splitting palm, earth release, earth spear. Earth release, added, weight rock technique. The air fills with destructive energy, the sky overwhelmed by their sheer force. The magnitude of the attack would obliterate even a Jonin in seconds, but Alex? He's on a whole different level. His grin says it all, his eyes, now spinning with the fake Kamui Mangekyo Sharingan, flare up. Then comes the flood of power as he taps into his 6 eyes and energy absorption abilities. A massive force erupts from within him. A towering blue giant materializes, Susanoo, formed from thin air. Armor, muscles, fleshel in the blink of an eye. The onslaught of jutsu crashes against the giant's impenetrable shield, shattering like glass. Alex rises within, floating high above the trembling ninjas below, his voice a calm, godlike declaration. "To you, isn't this the power of a god?" With a flick of his mind, Susanoo's colossal arm swings, summoning a massive purple sword crackling with energy. In an instant, the sword cleaves the battlefield, and those who dared challenge him are swept away. A blade of pure vector light tore through the Iwa force like paper, cleaving a mountain in its wake before vanishing into the horizon. Hovering high above, Alex locked eyes with the wreckage below, a smirk barely touching his lips. "Did I overdo it?" he murmured. With a silent command, the colossal phantom giant behind him unraveled into the wind. Gravity claimed him, but Rin caught his falling form just in time. Breathing heavy, Alex's gaze flickered to hers and Kakashi's stunned expressions. "It's up to you now," he whispered, then drifted into unconsciousness, his final look cast toward a distant hill cloaked in silence. There, in the shadowed mist, three figures observed, one ancient, one curious, one unnerved. The Susanoo they'd just seen wasn't just complete, it was transcendent. Two ocular forces, one forged in destruction, the other in absolute restoration, danced within Alex's gaze, eclipsing even legends. White Zetsu finally broke the tension, stunned. That Uchiha's eyes, they've gone beyond Mangekyo, eternal Mangekyo, Sharingan! But Madara's voice, slow and wary, cut through the awe. No, something doesn't align. That power doesn't echo the source of any known Mangekyo. Black Zetsu flinched, a chilling realization crawling through him. In a world where only one eternal Sharingan should exist, this one bore the scent of something far older, far stranger. Not of this world, but from another. The Otsutsuki clan, cosmic wanderers with the power to traverse galaxies, find themselves facing an unexpected threat. Kage Otsutsuki, once part of the clan, turned her back on them, making her their sworn enemy. If this new figure is truly Otsutsuki, it could unravel everything, throwing Black Zetsu's plans into turmoil. As the tension mounts, White Zetsu suggests taking out the person posing as Obito, but both Uchiha Madara and Black Zetsu quickly shut him down. Madara, knowing the stakes, understands that killing someone with the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan could be disastrous, while Black Zetsu fears that even Madara wouldn't stand a chance against an Otsutsuki. So, they watch in silence as Alex and his team depart, choosing to hold back. Meanwhile, Alex, carried on the back of a mysterious girl, reflects on the time he's in right after the Battle of Kanabi Bridge and before Rin's abduction by the Mist Village. The moment is fragile, and Alex has two goals: prevent Rin's capture and ensure both Obito and Kakashi unlock their Mangekyo Sharingan. He also wonders if he can merge Kamui's dimension with his own pocket universe. As he observes, his six eyes continue scanning, taking in the world around him while also pondering the dangers that await in both the Marvel and DC universes. Alex had transformed into a cosmic force, unshackled from the limitations of his previous world, and found himself in the Naruto universe. Here, nothing could threaten him, not even the challenges that once seemed insurmountable. His mind, however, still grappled with the essence of his identity. Immortality? Power beyond measure? He could have them all, but at what cost? Would losing himself in the process be any different from death itself? His journey wasn't about reckless destruction, it was about curiosity, about exploring the unknown and the unseen. Then, just as he marveled at his newfound peace, a ripple in space signaled an arrival. Out of nowhere, the legendary Minato Namikaze appeared, greeting Alex with a smile. But as soon as he noticed Kakashi's Sharingan, confusion overtook him. The Mangekyo Sharingan, what did it mean now? Was Obito evolving into something as powerful as Madara? The implications were vast, and Minato couldn't hide his concern. The path forward was no longer just about power, it was about navigating a world brimming with secrets, where even the gods were not immune to change. In a world where the rules had shifted and the skies whispered of chakra, Alex felt the static in his mind begin to clear. No longer surrounded by the crushing weight of cosmic battlefields or tyrannical gods, he found an odd peace Harius. Power untouched, his will still sharp, yet something within him was beginning to settle. He wasn't just seeking strength anymore, he was clawing for something deeper continuity of self, even as he brushed the edge of eternity. What use was endless life if it meant becoming something unrecognizable? That was the line he refused to cross. So instead of tearing through this new timeline like a storm, he paused, curious because curiosity, after all, was the one thing even gods feared to lose. Then, like a ripple across dimensions, the air bent and shimmered, a flash of light, and there stood a smiling blonde, youth calm, confident, and glowing with future legend. It was him, the one destined to shape nations. Alex watched with quiet interest. The shinobi around him didn't flinch. They knew this rhythm, this man. But the moment Minato's gaze locked on Kakashi's altered eye, surprise flickered. The words spilled fast revelations, awakenings, the specter of a name echoing from legend, the Mangekyo Sharingan, power once tied to myth, now pulsing in reality. And as the name Uchiha Madara surfaced, so did the weight of history. Could the child now sleeping carry such a burden? Minato didn't answer aloud, but in that silence, as he stared at Obito, the world shifted again, ever so slightly. Minato glanced at his companion, noticing the hesitation in his expression, and with a playful grin remarked, "Now that the mission's done, you all deserve a few days off. Maybe spend some time with Kushinashi almost demolished my office while you were away." Normally, Minato would be thrilled by the thought of rest, but today was different. After a short pause, he turned to Hiruzen, his expression serious. Lord Hokage, Obito. He's awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan. Hiruzen, usually calm, dropped his pipe with a clatter, his voice filled with disbelief. What? Compared to the younger Minato, Hiruzen understood far too well the implications of a Uchiha awakening the Mangekyo, especially in these turbulent times. His gaze shifted to Obito, who met him with a grin, his eyes narrowing to reveal the eerie, shuriken-like pattern of the Mangekyo. Hiruzen recognized it instantly. He had seen Madara's Mangekyo, and though the patterns differed, the ominous energy radiating from Obito's eyes was unmistakable. Taking a steady breath, Hiruzen turned back to Obito with a thoughtful smile. So, your Sharingan has awakened the Mangekyo. Each eye should possess a unique ability. What can yours do? Obito's smile widened as he proudly answered, My left eye can unleash a slash attack, while my right has the power to heal. Before he could elaborate further, Rin excitedly interrupted, Obito's abilities are incredible. His healing power can reverse death logic. Its self-wounds vanish before they can scar. Injuries that once spelled doom are rewritten mid-battle, something even legendary medic masters could never achieve. As the tension spiked, Kakashi nodded, unaware that behind this miracle lay tangled politics far more dangerous than blades. The third, Hiruzen, squinted moments ago. He'd considered seizing control of Obito for the power of the Mangekyo, an eye too divine to be left to the chaos-bound Uchiha. Temptation flickered like a forbidden jutsu, but the risk was astronomical. Minato, loyal and fierce, would rise against any such betrayal, and Kushinamore Tempest than Kunoichi wouldn't sit idle. Obito wasn't a typical Uchiha. He burned from a different branch, closer to Kagami's light than Madara's shadow. And the wild card? Alex, a force Hiruzen couldn't gauge. If Alex struck back, the village wouldn't survive the fallout. After weighing galaxies of consequence in a single breath, Hiruzen relented. This never happened, he said. Secrets locked behind steel gazes, the four shinobi echoed in unison. Understood. In silence, Minato exhaled. The war hadn't begun not today. This was his ninja way! As soon as the team exited the Hokage's office, a figure stood before them, casting a cold glance at Obito before striding in and slamming the door behind him. Danzo entered the room with icy composure, glaring at his old comrade and declaring in a sharp tone, I overheard! Uchiha Obito's Mangekyo Sharingan has awakened. That power must not fall into the hands of the Uchiha clan. Hand over the brat, and I'll take care of everything. Hiruzen Sarutobi, standing firm in his role, immediately shot back. Not happening. Obito's fate is mine to decide, and you're not interfering. Danzo, his disappointment palpable, shook his head. Hiruzen, you're too soft. If you let him return to the Uchiha, it'll be chaos. Hiruzen, unmoved, gave him a cold stare and simply stated, I am the Hokage. With a frustrated scoff, Danzo turned and stormed out, throwing one last remark over his shoulder. You'll regret this, Hiruzen. And from the shadows, Alex watched it all unfold. Alex never expected to find himself in Konoha witnessing the infamous "you'll regret it" moment. He could barely feel the subtle presence of root ninjas trailing him as he chatted with Minato and the others, all while using his six eyes to scan the village. It didn't take long for Alex to locate what he was after: the Scroll of Seals. This scroll contained numerous forbidden techniques, but none of them seemed to matter much to Alex, except for one, the multiple shadow clone technique. Invented by Tobirama Senju, this technique allowed the user to create thousands of clones at once, a move classified as forbidden due to its high chakra consumption, potentially dangerous to the user's life. However, this wasn't an issue for Alex. Even if he created millions of clones, chakra wouldn't be a concern. The real draw was that when these clones were dispelled, the user gained their memories. Alex was keen to see if this could help him rapidly accumulate training experience. Though Alex could absorb skills from the outside world, the process was unique, only allowing him to acquire sufficiently powerful abilities like those from the portal and mirror dimension. He had a strong feeling that the multiple shadow clone technique would be the one recognized by his system. Sure enough, the moment he laid eyes on it, the system immediately acknowledged it. A notification popped up. You have acquired the new skill, multiple shadow clone technique. Now, Alex could create up to 1,000 clones at once, and with each clone's dispelling, he would absorb their memories, a perfect method to accelerate his training and mastery. After mastering the multiple shadow clone technique, Alex's mind surged with Revelation Sat level 1, 10,000 clones obeyed his will. At level 2, 100,000 copies could endure damage as long as their energy held. By level 3, 10 million clones weren't illusions anymore, they were flesh and blood. But level 4 shattered all reason. No limit, infinite clones birthed by energy alone, capable of forming temporary life. And level 5? Permanent life forms living beings forged from will. Alex marveled at the absurdity. This wasn't a jutsu anymore. It was creation itself. Hyped beyond belief, he headed for ramen, hoping for mystic signals in the cook's aura but found none. Yet the ordinary mask something far beyond it hinted at a being who had already transcended. Amused and curious, Alex moved on, visiting monuments and battlefields of legend, his 6 eyes ever scanning, a grin playing on his lips as his journey through this world had only just begun. The next moment, dozens of ninjas wearing different animal masks charged at him. From the group of root ninjas, a figure emerged, the so-called Darkness of Konoha, Shimura Danzo. Alex knew exactly why he was here. The Mangekyo Sharingan. In the original story, Uchiha Shisui had revealed the power of his Mangekyo Sharingan before being ambushed by Danzo, who stole one of his eyes. Alex, fully aware of what was coming, decided to have a little fun. He feigned fear, backing away as if terrified, and faced Danzo. "Lord Danzo, why are you surrounding me with so many Anbu?" he asked, his voice quivering with faux terror. Danzo coldly eyed him, replying, "Evil Uchiha brat, your eyes are too dangerous. I must take them to preserve peace in Konoha." Alex couldn't help but internally roll his eyes. Danzo's so-called peace was nothing but a thin excuse to satisfy his own hunger for power. Once, Danzo might have cared about Konoha, but now? He was just a selfish, power-thirsty man who had long abandoned his original ideals, obsessed with becoming Hokage. Alex kept up the act, continuing to back away and mock fear. "Does the Hokage know what you're doing? Hokage would never agree to this." "You mean the old man? He's lost his touch." Danzo sneered, his tone sharp as he declared himself the true protector of Konoha. "You're not worried the Hokage will find out about your plans?" Alex asked, his voice trembling in feigned fear. Danzo coldly assured him, "Everything here stays hidden, no one will ever know." But as he looked at the quivering figure before him, Danzo felt a flicker of disappointment. Here stood someone with the Mangekyo Sharingan, yet the fear was overwhelming. This wasn't the fierce warrior he expected. Just as he prepared to order the execution, Alex's body stopped shaking. He lifted his head, and the Mangekyo Sharingan spun, steady, his eyes now cold and unwavering. "No one will know?" "How ironic," Alex smirked, revealing that he was no coward after all. Staring into Alex's blood-red eyes, Danzo's instinct screamed danger. Without hesitation, he barked, "Attack! Neutralize him!" In preparation, Danzo had unleashed his full force. Ryoma and Torun from the Aburame clan summoned their deadly swarm of insects, while Yamanaka Fu cast his mind transfer jutsu. Meanwhile, various ninjas hurled wind-based jutsus at Alex, combining their powers to create a terrifying vortex capable of devouring everything in its path. The scale of the attack was immense. Even someone as powerful as Uchiha Madara would struggle to endure such a barrage. Danzo stood by, confident that the incoming ninjutsu would overwhelm Alex, no matter his Mangekyo Sharingan or his ability to summon Susanoo. Danzo's plan seemed perfect, yet he was destined to fail. Alex wasn't just a Mangekyo Sharingan user, he was something far beyond that. If Hashirama was the god of shinobi, Alex was the true god. With no need for grand-scale warfare or activating his domain, Alex effortlessly activated his limitless technique, bending space around him with divine ease, rendering Danzo's attack utterly futile. Alex glanced at his adversary with a grin before nonchalantly passing by him. Danzo let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. The mysterious figure disguised as Uchiha Obito had spared his life. Was it arrogance? Or perhaps fear of Konoha's might? Whatever the reason, Danzo knew one thing: he would make sure Hiruzen Sarutobi was informed, and would mobilize every possible force to eliminate this man. But before any of those plans could take shape, Danzo and his root ninjas were reduced to nothing but dust, disappearing in an instant. Alex's domain had expanded, wiping every trace of Danzo from the world's memory. Even the Sage of Six Paths, hiding in another realm, wasn't immune. Returning to Obito's small, crumbling home, Alex didn't waste time. He quickly retreated to his pocket dimension, where he had brought Paradise Island and Catwoman, along with others, into the shinobi world. After a bit of rest and mochi making with Catwoman, Alex began experimenting with the shadow clone technique. He summoned 10 clones, each tasked with a different skill, but after a long period of training, only his original technique saw any real progress. While a little disappointed, Alex understood the system wouldn't make things that easy, but his other skills began to level up rapidly. Within a day, he had reached level 3 with a multi-shadow clone technique, his powers expanding at an alarming rate. With a smirk that shimmered like a falling star, Alex strode past Danzo, who exhaled in shaky relief, thought he'd been spared by the masked specter. Was it mercy? Or did the phantom fear the village's might? Danzo didn't care. He had plans to relieve the Leaf, crush this threat. But before thought could become action, he and his operatives crumbled to dust, erased not just from life, but from memory itself across all realms. Even the hidden eye of the Sage of Six Paths. Back in the shadow of Obito's empty home, Alex vanished into his pocket dimension, carrying with him Paradise Island, Catwoman, and a fragment of peace. Amid mochi making and quiet laughter, he tested the limits of the Shadow Clone technique. Though he summoned 10 clones to train, only the original technique advanced, the system unimpressed by shortcuts. Still, as time folded inward, Alex's skills surged, Mirror Dimension, Hollow Purple, Third Tree Abyss, and Multi-Shadow clones all rising. By day's end, the once basic jutsu had reached level 3, and a ripple echoed across his inner domain. Congratulations! Your skill Purple has leveled up! Although it didn't have world-shattering energy and couldn't last forever, it was still a huge leap forward. And this was just at level 4! Alex believed that as Purple reached higher levels, 5, 6, or even 7, he could create matter that would exist indefinitely, maybe even shape an entire world. But after leveling up Purple, Alex didn't stop there. Another skill leveled up. Third Tree, Abyss. The boost was intense. At level 2, it allowed him to fuse magic, technology, and soul for an unprecedented power-up, even unleashing a spear that could bypass immortality itself. As if that wasn't enough, Alex's strength increased tenfold in Third Tree, Abyss mode. This was just the beginning. Once this skill reached level 3, Alex estimated his power would increase by at least 50 times, putting him on par with the strongest entities in the multiverse unstoppable, even against forces like the God of Stories. With this level of power, it would be the perfect time to head back to the MCU and face the Celestials, maybe even craft a battleship from their bodies. But Alex's ambitions didn't end there. He was on the brink of the next step in his character template fusion, with an impressive 98% completion rate, signaling the beginning of his next evolution. Although this form of matter couldn't yet exist forever, its creation marked a colossal leap forward, and this was only level 4. Alex knew that once Purple reached level 5, 6, or even 7, it could generate permanent matter, maybe even forge an entire world. But the evolution didn't stop there. Another skill ignited Third Tree, Abyss. Now at level 2, it fused magic, tech, and soul into one vector, spear force that laughed in the face of immortality. As the knowledge surged into his mind, Alex embraced the simplicity and brutality of raw, divine augmentation. In the state of Abyss, his power multiplied tenfold each breath, now a seismic force. But this was just level 2. If he reached level 3, he'd ascend to a being of universal scale, capable of standing alone against any force, carving his name into the multiverse itself. And with 98% template fusion, that transformation was seconds away. The battles ahead wouldn't just shake dimensions, they would redefine them. As Alex funneled the harvested high-tier energies into the fusion process, days passed in silence, until bam! The system chimed with template fusion, 100%. Suddenly, a storm of transformation tore through him. Vector manipulation, the mysterious wings, and the arcane power of the Third Tree. Abyss all snapped into place, not as borrowed strength, but as his own. His brain surged past human limits, cracking calculations faster than reality could react. With vector manipulation at level 4, Alex wasn't just catching up, he was leaving Accelerator in the dust. Then came the download. The complete science and sorcery library of a parallel world instantly absorbed. A flicker, and all wing powers fused into the reawakened Third Tree. Abyss now, a weapon that bent soul, phase, and forbidden magic into one brutal law. No more immortals. His mastery exploded energy flowed clean, controlled, unstoppable. Where once a supernova blazed with a cursed tint of red, now it spun pure white in his palm, serene but deadly, no energy leaking. Alex grinned, power humming beneath his skin, and turned to the system panel with eyes that had already rewritten the rules. With his fusion rate now maxed out at 100%, Alex was about to unlock a new character template. The system interface blinked rapidly, presenting him with an unexpected gift. Rugi Shiki's template. Along with the template, a new ability activated, the Mystic Eyes of Death Perception. These eyes allowed Alex to perceive the lines of death running across any object, living or not, and by cutting along these lines, he could inflict irreversible damage. His blue eyes began to glow with a more intense, ethereal light, and in his vision, red lines appeared on various objects. A mere trace of his hand along these lines caused instant decay. As Alex processed the flood of information, he realized that this new skill had limitless potential. Though at level 1, he could only cut through the physical world, his thoughts hinted that at higher levels, like level 3, he could potentially sever even conceptual entities, and who knows, perhaps even cut through the fabric of the multiverse itself. Despite Rugishiki's template having few skills, Alex's trust in the root skill, which he hadn't unlocked yet, led him to believe it would be equally devastating when obtained. Even though Rugishiki's template offered only 2 skills, its fusion threshold rivaled the infamously complex Accelerator template, pushing Alex to his absolute limits. With anticipation sharp as a vector spear, Alex was eager to unveil the mysteries hidden within the root skill. Now, fully upgraded and reforged, he scanned his profile like a living legend inspecting divine scripture. Gojo Satoru, fully fused. Accelerator, fully fused. And the freshly linked root origin. Energy absorption devoured reality within a 20-meter radius. Six Eyes turned perception into domination. Azure and Red twisted gravity and force into black holes and miniature supernovas. Reversal healed, not just wounds, but logic itself. Limitless bent matter and time until all threats froze in place. Purple collapsed fantasy and mass into pure vector intent. And when Unlimited Void expanded, thought itself halted in an endless spiral. In that moment, Alex wasn't just a character, he was a system-breaking anomaly, armed with paradox and fusion, standing at the precipice between worlds, ready to reshape not only Apocalypse, but the very foundations of existence. From manipulating the forces of reality to piercing through death itself, Alex has become something far beyond mortal. With the power of vector manipulation level 4, he twists acceleration, momentum, and even scalar energies like playthings, rewriting the battlefield on a whim. The third tree. Abyss grants him soulbound magic, tech fusion, letting him phase through dimensions and strike down immortals as if they were shadows. Portal level 5 opens any world at his command, and with Mirror Dimension, he isolates chaos, fighting in a realm where nothing touches reality. Millions of shadow clones back him with tactical omnipresence, and the mystic eyes of death perception make every flaw a fatal target. As template fusion ticks forward and energy surges past 10,000, Alex receives a summons from the ANBU. His rest ends. War loomed. Madara's plan creeps near. But this isn't the old Talithus, is Alex's world now. No more fate, no more scripts. Obito, Rin, they belong to him. Madara, you may be the strongest in the ninja world, but you're still a shade behind perfection. As the words echoed like thunder, Alex grinned with cosmic calm, unleashing a pulse of force that sent tremors through the very air. Kakashi felt it in his bone suppressor beyond anything he'd ever faced, his instincts screaming as Obito's silhouette passed him, now sharpened, ascended, and unknowably altered. Rin didn't feel danger, only a heat rising in her cheeks as she looked at the reformed figure before her. Once a mirror of Obito, Alex had subtly sculpted his own identity, his face, his essence, now exuding something magnetic and untouchable. At the Hokage Tower, the fourth blinked in disbelief at the change. Obito, what happened to your face? With a smirk, Alex's voice carried through the room. Mangekyo evolution turns out it fixes more than vision. Rin lit up instantly, eyes sparkling. Can I try it too, she asked, half joking, fully serious. Alex chuckled, tapping his chest. After the mission, my place. I'll give you the deluxe treatment. The moment hung for only a heartbeat until another shadow dashed in, having caught more than words. Her eyes sparkled like twin comets as she grabbed Alex's shoulders, exclaiming, Me too, me too! If you're doing this for Rin, don't forget your teacher's wife! It was none other than the fiery-tempered yet irresistibly curious Jinchuriki herself. Even she couldn't resist the allure of rejuvenation. Alex, giving her an honest glance, replied with a half-smile. You're already stunning, but hey, there's always room for refinement. You and Rin swing by my place sometime, I'll run a full checkup. She laughed, radiant. I knew there was a reason I spoiled you! But deep down, Alex held back a grim thought if only love had saved her from betrayal. Not everything could be healed, not even by time. He said nothing, joining the others on their way to the Hokage's office. Just as foreseen, the storm rolled in, Minato's squad was hurled into the front lines against the mist. She tried to follow, tried to stand beside her husband, but was shut down by the old Hokage himself. They didn't say it, but Alex knew the truth. She was too vital, too dangerous to be let loose. A vessel of the beast, shackled in the shadows. That leash would only loosen when Minato took the mantle too late, too brief. A year later, both would be gone. But now, with Alex among them, fate wasn't set. And if balance was to be bought, maybe the Ninetales wasn't such a steep price after all. After receiving his orders, Alex and his squad launched into action the very same day. With a thunderous flash, they warped across space thanks to a forbidden teleportation technique, landing straight into the heart of war. There, amidst the chaos, Alex crossed paths with legendary shinobi whose forms twisted slightly from memory but burned with unmistakable power. For him, the battlefield was a playground, his movements casual, yet every gesture cut down waves of enemies like whispers of doom. The Mist Ninjas fell like shadows at dusk, and whispers turned to legend. A new title born the Black Reaper, a name etched in fear, one glimpse marking the end. It rang darker, cooler than any he'd worn before. His rise was meteoric, eclipsing even the yellow flash. But when low-tier mist ninjas slithered near, Alex knew this was no random skirmish. The plan had begun. With surgical precision, he unleashed unlimited void, freezing the squad in place, then slipped a perfect shadow clone into their midst, veiled in the image of a key figure. As the decoy returned with them, even the mightiest schemer couldn't pierce the deception. When they sealed a godlike beast into the clone and dragged it toward their plot's climax, they never realized the true creature had already been extracted, tucked away in Alex's private dominion. In that boundless realm, he stood face to face with the titanic beast of Tailscom, unreadable, master of the unfolding game. With a calm but absolute gesture, Alex tightened his fist stand in an instant. The will of the Three Tails vanished, its massive body crumbling into raw energy under the weight of his vector aura. That energy, condensed into a burning crimson orb, pulsed in his palm as he studied it with divine calculation. The tailed beasts weren't infinite, but they were close, constantly drawing energy from the world itself like living reactors. If the Three Tails could do that, then the 10 Tails must be a cosmic siphon, capable of draining entire planets. Mission complete. Alex phased back to base in the Leaf Village, where the command was clear. Intercept a mist ninja unit approaching fast. As the trio moved out, Rin tried again and again to connect. Her admiration for Alex no longer hidden, but Alex, wrapped in his transcendent calm, gave only riddles and subtle smiles. Her voice trembled with doubt as she spoke of the mission's oddness. Alex, almost amused, nodded. Kakashi, watching them both, could feel something unraveling in the silence. Then the enemy appeared. But it wasn't confusion on Alex's face, it was certainty. Something was coming. Something only he could see. Why did they transform to look like her? Kakashi whispered. Rin, a little confused, shook her head. Then Alex pushed the story forward. I can feel an incredibly powerful chakra within the ninja disguised as her. She must be the Jinchuriki, he said, continuing. They're likely heading toward the village to unleash the tailed beast inside her and wreak havoc. Both Rin and Kakashi nodded, believing Alex's theory. Rin and I will distract the other ninjas. Kakashi, you should go and neutralize the Jinchuriki. If you neutralize her, the tailed beast inside will perish too, and we can stop their plan, Alex added. Kakashi and Rin agreed, nodding again. As this unfolded, Alex subtly expanded his domain, shifting perceptions to guide the narrative toward his will. Meanwhile, deep in a hidden cave, White Zetsu reported to Uchiha Madara. Lord Madara, Kakashi, and Rin are in position. Everything is going as planned, except... Except what? Madara asked. Except that an Uchiha disguised as Obito is with them, along with an unknown female leaf ninja. Madara paused briefly before answering. Proceed with the original plan. We just need Rin to die in front of Obito to awaken his Mangekyo Sharingan. Understood, came the reply. As the mist thickens with tension, Rin and Alex orchestrate a perfect diversion, peeling away the mist ninjas and clearing the path for Kakashi to reach a shadow clone disguised as Rin. Though a few guards remain near the Jinchuriki, Kakashiver, the seasoned Juninteers, threw them with cold precision. From afar, Alex watches intently, knowing what's about to unfold. Obito draws closer, then impact. Kakashi's Chidori pierces the clone's chest, igniting Obito's soul-shattering scream. That moment, drenched in agony and fate, unleashes a transformationas. Sharingan ignites into Mangekyo, and Kakashi's follows suit, synchronizing through space and sorrow. A slow grin spreads across Alex's face at showtime. One furious mist ninja charges, enraged by Alex's calm. But with a flick, the battlefield turns to ribbons of air and bloodless collapse. The foes vanish, sliced by invisible vectors. Rin runs to Alex, awestruck. Obito, your power keeps growing, she cries. But Alex, now a mirror of depth and darkness, replies with chilling calm. Admiration is the furthest emotion from understanding. With that, he strides toward Kakashi, his presence folding the very fabric of the battlefield.